It's time for business, and Emmanuel Abajiria has joined me. Good evening to you, Emmanuel.
Good evening, Israel.
All right, what's coming up in business?
Well, barely 2 weeks ago, if you could remember, the Depositors Fund Bill was passed in Parliament. Now, 2 weeks after that,
the one was to protect
the interest of small depositors.
Okay.
So that in the event of a collapse of any of these financial institutions, they could get a refund of part of their deposits. Right. Yes. Now we have a new bill that has been passed, and it looks like that one also seeks to rationalize or streamline processes within the banking industry, basically.
Okay.
There's yet a third category or a fourth category that has been added to savings and loans and microfinance, industries. Now we have a third or fourth industry attached. And it's news.
Right, and what's this I hear about Ghana Gas says it's ready to take on gas from the 10 field?
The 10 field, yes. And the 10 field comes up just this August. The first oil is expected in August. Right. And experts are speculating whether indeed Ghana Gas is ready to contain the volumes that will be churned out.
And it says it is ready.
It says it is. It has actually the necessary infrastructure for that.
You bring us the details.
Thank you very much. Now in details, a couple of weeks after the passage of the Depositors Protection Bill, Parliament has once again passed the Banks and Specialized Deposit Taking Bill. This is expected to address gaps and inconsistencies in the banking laws and deepen cooperation with regional counterparts to improve regulation and supervision of foreign banks that are active in the country. Here's a Business Desk report.
The passage of the bill is seen as a major boost to the banking sector and follow on the heels of the Deposit Protection Bill, which the 275 members of the legislature passed last week. According to contents of the Banks and Specialized Deposit Taking Bill, it will seek to address the supervisory and regulatory gaps to enable the Bank of Ghana, superintend financial service providers and the microfinance businesses, address bank resolution, ensure financial consumer protection, and promotion of innovation and financial inclusion. The bill is expected to strengthen licensing procedures, consolidate supervision, and cross-border supervision, given the growing importance of conglomerates and foreign banks. The Banks and Specialized Deposit Taking Bill is expected to address gaps and inconsistencies in the banking laws and deepen cooperation with regional counterparts to improve the regulation and supervision of foreign banks that are active in the country. In addition, government needs to provide appropriate mechanisms to minimize financial system stability and address emerging risks anchored on effective supervisory and regulatory measures, as well as the introduction of new schemes. Among the highlights of the bill is to deal with restrictions on lending and investment, which prohibits a bank or specialized deposit-taking institution from granting advances, loans, or credit facilities, including guarantees, against the security of the shares of the bank or specialized deposit-taking institution, the shares of its financial holding company, the shares of any of its subsidiaries, or the shares of any of the subsidiaries of its financial holding company.
Now, earlier on the marketplace, analyst and banking consultant with the Osei Tutu II Center for Excellence, Education and Research, Nana Utue Champong, explored the relevance and implications of the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Bill.
Is to consolidate all the bits and pieces about banking law since 2004. Presently, what we have is we got the Banking Act of 2004, amended in 2007. But if you take, for instance, the rural community banks, they don't have a specific law. It was done by administrative directive. And therefore, this one seeks to bring all of them under one law. Once this bill has become law, then it repeals all the other two laws, that is the 2004 Banking Act and the 2007 Banking Amendment Act. And for the first time, the institutions under the banking law have been increased from 4 sectors to 5. Now, these are the sectors. You've got universal banks, then you have savings and loan companies, you have rural banks, you have microfinance institutions, and now they've added finance houses. So finance houses are the latest addition to the list of institutions that are allowed to take money from the public and grant loans. So bank, financial institutions. So now the banks that are directly regulated have been those which have been registered in Ghana under the Ghana Companies Act. Now, foreign banks appear to have escaped in that because they have not been registered in Ghana, but they've got like branch offices, they were outside the regulatory regime. Now, this law seeks to establish that as long as you are doing business here in banking, then you come under the regulator, and that is the powers that have been given to the regulator now to regulate all these institutions.
Now, Ghana Gas Company says it is ready to contain and process the large volumes of gas expected to be churned out of the upcoming Twineboa, Enyira and Ntome, also known as 10 field, offshore the West Cape 3 points. Ghana's second major hydrocarbon development is said to be over 90% complete and is making progress on schedule for first oil by August 2016. Speaking with the communications manager of Ghana Gas Company, Alfred Ugbami, he was confident that the company is well equipped to process the increased volumes from both the Jubilee and the 10 fields.
The volumes or projections from the 10 field were factored into the construction of the pipeline. So the current pipeline, the 58-kilometer pipeline, can take more than that of the Jubilee field and the 10 field combined. The onshore pipeline has a capacity to take up to about 400 million scarf, which is more than the combination of the Jubilee field and the 10 field. The only thing that would have to enhance is the processing plant, because it has 150 million scarf capacity as of now. Yes, the plant itself. And because I said all these things were factored, provision in terms of spacing is all there already. However, in the current situation, we may not even have to move on to implement the enhancement of the facility. In that, as we speak, and as you would well know, Tullow would be unable to resolve fully its turret challenges till the first quarter of 2017. What it means is that it cannot give us full volumes of even 150 million. Now, we expect that the maximum the 10 field can give us about 50. We project that regularly can give about 30. If you even top that up with, let's say, the 85 Tullow were given us just a couple of weeks ago, it still doesn't come up to what the plant can presently handle. So really, I do not think that we have a challenge. Sankofa has a higher capacity than even our plant, and there's a plan for Sankofa to have its own plant, which even has a higher processing capacity than the Atuabo gas processing plant. You know, the ENI Sankofa project is supposed to have its own plant, which will be higher in terms of its ability to process gas than what we have at the moment.
Moving on, the Energy Commission says it is making progress with moves to get industrial firms that generate their own power, like mining and steel companies, purchase a specified amount of renewable energy for their operations. This is part of initiatives towards achieving the 10% renewable energy target in the country's energy mix by 2020. More in this report.
The Energy Commission has initiated moves to begin full implementation of the Renewable Energy Program in the industrial sector before end of the year. The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, has welcomed the initiative as a cheaper option, but wants government to support its members with direct or indirect funding because of the huge initial cost of installation.
There's not resistance, but there's not also, if you like, adoption. So there's very slow. I guess why everybody's cautious. Everybody's cautious. I mean, I've been talking to one company, Solar, who's proposing to take all the risks and supply to companies. Now, these are not necessarily big companies. It could be just an office complex or a car dealer or whatever. So it's not huge. We are talking about under a megawatt, where the only thing they have to commit to is to buy the power. But people are very cautious of signing a 20-year agreement to buy power, and it's just a little bit of fear of the unknown. And I think that's why we are sort of encouraging them that yes, it's not a pipe dream, it's real, it can happen and it can work. And as you saw in the presentation, the cost is actually attractive.
Meanwhile, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, has criticized the Energy Commission for what it describes as an abuse of its authority to regulate the importation of renewable energy technology into the country. According to the Deputy Executive Director, Ben Boache, the Commission can be blamed for the country's inability to effectively deploy renewable energy.
There is so much discretion given to Energy Commission to license renewable energy, and it's sort of being abused, so there is that bureaucracy built into it. They determine what renewable even qualify to be a renewable. If you are bringing solar panel, Energy Commission says that this solar panel, because you don't have the full complements of the solar technology with batteries and inverters, we will not consider it as renewable. You can bring it in, but you ask yourself, what can you do with solar panels, without generating electricity out of it? So I think that we should be so plain and explicit in the provisions so that people can just pick the law and follow it and bring in the renewable. We're giving so much discretion to Energy Commission, and that is killing the adoption of renewable energy.
And the local textile industry is set to be recording some significant growth in recent years, despite unfair competition from cheap imported prints. The industry had been on the decline, mainly due to the influx of Chinese textiles bearing pirated local designs. Sheila Tamaklo has come through with this report.
Local textile manufacturing firms have played a major role in the country's development, creating jobs for thousands. Statistics show local textile companies produced a total of about 129 million yards in 1977. This had, however, declined to a total of about 46 million yards in 1995. But the head of marketing at GTP, Stephen Badu, says unlike some years ago, the industry is now recording a 5% year-on-year growth despite the unfair competition.
The textile industry, or the African print industry, it's a growing one. It's a booming one. Year on year, we estimate, it's an estimate, we don't have the actual figures, but we estimate that the market size is about 110, 120 million yards on average for Ghana. It's growing about 5% or so every year. We estimate that it's valued about between $150, $160 million. Well, so it's quite a big industry, and it's growing.
Evolving global fashion trends have boosted the appeal of African prints on the international market. Stephen Badu says local manufacturers like GTP are capitalizing on this by producing about $8 million worth of exports across the African sub-region.
We are into exports. I mean, GTP Wooden, we do exports. And if I pick the figures for, let's say, 2014, we managed to export about $8 million worth of fabrics to mostly West African states. So we export up to DRC, we export to Uganda, to Kenya, and a little to South Africa.
Stakeholders, however, want government to implement better policies and incentives to drive sustainable growth in the sector.
And that wraps up business on this bulletin. For more business news updates, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Yafi. There's more ahead. Don't go away.